Anderson is on a mission to live, move, and be an active member of society who serves to educate, elucidate, and emancipate people and communities to awaken and empower themselves. When he says active, he's using active to mean authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, and empowered. He's an ordained independent New Thought minister and interfaith, interspiritual minister, a certified holistic life coach, a Reiki master and teacher. He teaches martial arts. He's also a visual artist. He's the father of 5. He's the grandfather of 5. And can I just say, if I look as good as him when I'm a grandparent, done something well. No rush though, Joey. By the way, our teens are in here because he spoke at one of their YOU, that's the Unity's teen program, like leadership weekends, and Becca, who works with our teens, she got super excited when she heard that Ray was coming, so she's like dragging teens in here to listen to him. So thank you, teens, for being here. Here's perhaps, I think, the coolest thing about Ray. He was initiated to be a practicing mage and served on the board of the Noble Order of the Jedi. The man's an actual Jedi. Not kidding you. Like I said, I want to be when I grow up. I give you Reverend Dr. Ray Anderson.
So, how is everyone today? Yeah. So first of all, let me say thank you for having me here. Greatly appreciate it. Second of all, I'm not sure if I should start off with a warning. Yeah, I probably should warn you. So, one of the things that Reverend Ogan mentioned was, I teach martial arts and stuff, and a whole bunch of stuff. And I used to be a public school teacher and taught college, etc. So the warning is, there will be times that I'm going to ask you a question, and the question is legitimately for you to answer. Failure to answer it, never mind. But just know, there are going to be times that I'm going to ask you a legitimate question I would like an answer, okay? So don't be scared, block the doors, I don't want anyone to leave, just let us breathe. So question number 1. Have you been reading this?
Yes.
Feel free to tell the truth if you haven't. So right now, where we are in the book is we are discussing this thing called attachment. Now, oftentimes when we're thinking about attachment in terms of these great things like I am attached to whatever that is, right? But there are things, because you are the enlightened folks, I know because I know him, so I know that you are all, you're here. But we get attached to small things, and small things can lead to bigger things, and bigger things can lead to separation, scarcity, lack, etc. So when I say small things, I'm referring to things like, and don't raise your hand, just think for yourself, because I don't want to put anybody on the spot. It is the new year, 2017. How many of you wrote 2016 well into May or March, so we can get attached to the previous year that we're writing 2016. And it's an innocent thing. We're just not thinking about, it's a new year, because we are present to right here and right now. But when we do get attached to, we get frustrated, because how many times do you write on a new check? 2016. When am I going to get this? And then we start to do things to ourselves where we are judging ourselves, and we're doing things with resentment that are now blaming ourselves for things. And we already know that when we blame ourselves for things, and we incriminate ourselves for things, we are actually dissing God. Now, let's imagine, you have a good imagination?
Yes.
Okay. Let's imagine for a moment that this beautiful individual was the God, right? And the God walks up and you say, God, not feeling the sweater or the shirt today. And God says, it's all good. Boom. Right? So we wouldn't do that if God was an anthropomorphic deity, that because we know the stories, we know the Zeus and Odin-like stories, we know the old Testament. The God of destruction. Do something and God doesn't like. You did what? You prayed on a Wednesday? You did what? I don't like red lipstick. Like that God was very angry and so we wouldn't do that. But every time we incriminate ourselves, we are doing something very similar. We are dissing the divine that we are. So something as simple as being attached to last year's date. Something is being attached to as a name. You know, my parents called me on my birth, Raymont. Simply because my mother, sorry mom, my mother's brother Raymond sort of made her mad. So rather than calling me Raymond, she said the child's name is Raymont. My uncle was so attached to his own name, Raymond, that my uncle did not speak to me until I was in my 15, 16, 17. He said he wouldn't even acknowledge me. Hey, Uncle Raymond. So we can become attached to names. But as Shakespeare said, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So it's not really our name that identifies who and what we are. There's something deeper that if you take off the name, you take off the labels, mother, father, cousin, sister, brother, teacher, minister. You take off all of the political affiliations. You take off all of the spiritual labels of Buddhism, Islam, Confucius. Like you take all that away. Take the skin away. Take the muscle and sinew away. The tendons, the bones. Take it all away and there is one thing that is there, that is unchanging, that is infinite, that is forever, and that is the I am. Christ consciousness, the divine presence of all that is the truth of who and what we are. But it's easy to look in the mirror and not like the gray hair. It's easy to step on the scale. Oh, the devil is a liar. It's easy, but it's easy. Now, let me mention this. So in 2009 to 11, now this is how I know this teaching works. 2009 or 11, I fell off and got depressed and a whole bunch of things were going on. And I went up to about 305 pounds-ish. Cholesterol was through the roof. Blood pressure was through the roof. To the degree that my doctor got teary-eyed when she spoke to me because she said, Ray, I'm afraid that if I let you walk out of here right now, you're not coming back. I don't believe in medication. I don't like writing prescriptions. But I'm so tempted to give you this prescription right now. But she said, I know that you have this strong spiritual practice. I know that you do martial arts. Like, I know that you've got your stuff together. So I'm trusting and believing that when I let you leave here, you're going to go do what you know you need to do. And I left. And for the entire first month, Krispy Kreme, and see, for DC, it's Krispy Kreme. You got the Dunkin' Donuts. We got Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme and I had a standing date every day. At noon, and 1, and 2, and 2:30, and 2:25. Like we have this standing appointment. Coffee and donuts every day. Sit down every day and watch television and eat. Every day, all day long. So for this first month, all I did was cleared my mind of resentment. I grew up as an abused child. Any form of abuse that you can imagine, somewhere, way, shape, or form, I experienced it. Let it go. Be present in this moment. Forgive. But I thought I forgave it. Forgive again. Silence, man. Just forgive. Okay, forgive, let go, let go. Be present, let go. Just be here, be right now. Don't be attached to what would happen. This is the only moment right here, right now that I can live in. I can't live in this moment ever again. This is it. This breath is the only time I get this breath. This is the only time I get to experience you this way. Even if I was to move here and join you every Sunday, this is the only time this moment can happen. So let it go, let it all go. In that first month, 15 to 20 pounds immediately left. I didn't change anything that I ate. I didn't change nothing. All I did was release the attachment to the past. Release the attachment to what I thought and what I wanted and what I demanded that the future owes me. It owes me peace of mind. It owes me happiness. It owes me love. Let it go. Because the future, it doesn't exist anyway. Let it go. And then at the end of the month, I was like, now I'm good. Now I can change what I'm eating. And now I can enjoy this meal. And the funny thing is, for many years, I had this psychosomatic illness where I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat fresh fruits or vegetables without getting sick. So I couldn't eat a salad for almost 20-some years. Couldn't eat an apple, no fresh fruit. It had to be canned. It had to be processed in some way. And then when I gradually started weaning myself to it, I was like, Tracy, you have to cook the vegetables until I can take a fork and make mashed potatoes. Like, it's a carrot. It can't be crunchy. It has to be soggy. Because that's the closest to canned food I could get it soggy. But then I continued to do the work until I got to the point where the 11-year-old me who ate salad was now present here in the me present now who can eat salad and enjoy it, who can eat fruits and vegetables and enjoy it. So I know the teaching works. So it comes down to, how free do we want to be? You know, one of the things that Dean mentions in the book is, how do we get to this place of living our lives like jazz musicians? How do we step into this place of improving our life by practicing improv? By living in this state of ever being in the flow of. How many people in here, not that you can do it here how many surf? Thank you, at least I got a couple of hands. Okay, so you'll like this. So, surfing. Have you ever been on the board and a wave come and you got knocked off? And what did you do? You swam, got the board, got back on, swam back out, got on another wave, and did what you needed to do. That's improv. Life happens. And our job is to stay afloat and ride the wave and enjoy the process, because I would venture to say, if you could surf and never fall off, it was step on, I'm done. Like, that's all it was. Every weekend, put the board, all I need to do is stand on it, the wave comes and gets me, the wave takes me out, the wave brings me back, and I'm done. What would be the point? How many people play chess? Baseball, softball, soccer, something. What if you knew something? Everybody plays something. What if you knew? Now really think about this, because some of you are going to say, well, yeah, if you knew you could not lose, that you knew from the moment you touched the game was done. I won, check me, done, I'm done. Home run, I'm done, I'm done. What would be the point? Part of enjoying the ride, enjoying the game, is the possibility of losing. So losing doesn't have to be bad. It's our attachment to winning and the resentment that we allow ourselves to feel when we lose, because what we do is label ourselves losers. Because maybe at some point mom or dad said, what do you mean you didn't get a home run? You just had to give birth to such a loser, didn't you? And we hear the messages. We had some teacher somewhere, some way, shape, or form, said something about our kindergarten painting and something, and it stuck. And so every time a supervisor, a lover, somebody says something that sounds similar to, why can't you be better? Why can't you be like Bob? Why can't you be like Barry? Barry's got the cool shoe. Like, why can't you be better? Why can't you be? So we always play this, let me compare myself to someone. But like Bruce Lee said, there will always be someone greater and someone lesser. So it's never about the greater or the lesser. It's about where you are right now, doing what is yours to do in this present moment. So the challenge is, are we willing to move forward past the fear? Are we willing to move? Because on some level, all of this stuff boils down to us being scared. We're scared of something. We're scared of change. We're scared of, well, if I change, will they still love me? If I change, will they still be my friends? If I change, will something that I have been attached to and used to, will that continue? Does it have to? I mean, if we really sat down and thought about all the things in our lives that have changed, we weren't that attached to them to the degree where, life goes on. But we get attached to these few particular things that we really don't want to let go of. I need to keep this. You never know when salad may come in handy. Ray, that salad was from 3 months ago. Doesn't matter, the lettuce is a little wilty, but it's still green. But that green isn't the lettuce green, that's the... Oh. We cling. We want to hold memories and we want to hold them forever. And we expect that the memory is going to be the thing that, like, as soon as I bring this memory back, everything connected, it's going to come back too. But it doesn't. We bring it back and something's a little faded because the experience is never the same. I haven't been to Disney yet, but I already know when I go, I already know what's going to happen. I'll let you know when I go. Watch the news that night, because that night, 51-year-old Raymont Anderson was found running through Disney, chasing down all of the fairies, elves, every Mickey Mouse. I'm everything. I'm going to have the Harry Potter. Never mind, I digress. But the first time, anybody in here ever been to Disney? Disney World. Let's go with that one. Disney World. Do you remember what it felt like that first time you were there? And for the adults, were you able to let go of, I'm an adult at Disney? Because trust and believe, when I go, I'm letting go of it. I'm letting go of it all. I'm going to be 3 years old, and I'm going to run around, and I'm going to lose my mind. I already know me. But when we go back, it's never the same. The second time at Disney isn't the same. The third time. But it's still a new time. Because the second time is the only second time you're ever going to be there. The third time is only going to ever be the third time once. So be present. Be in the moment. And the only way we can do that is by losing our mind. In a good way. So lose it, or loose it, or get to this place where you don't mind your mind. So practicing martial arts years ago, I found this phrase, Mushin. It's a concept, Mushin, which means no-mindedness. To let go of the idea that your mind, and when I say your mind, I mean your mind, not the one mind. So God's source, that thing that is the universal mind that is using that mind in, through, and as each and every one of us. Which is why when Yeshua said, if you have seen me, then you have seen God. You have seen the Father who sent me. If you have seen me, then you have seen the Christ presence. You have seen that which I am at the deepest recess of who and what I am. And that mind, that's the mind that makes the sun shine, that keeps Pluto in orbit, that does grass and makes grass green. Because God only knows that if I was in charge of it, grass would probably grow down. It would, who knows what color it would be. Well, actually, that might, never mind. So, I'm not in charge of that. If I had to breathe me, do you understand that if I had to be in charge of breathing me, there would be at least 4 or 5 times a day where I forgot to breathe. Because it's too much to do. I have to make the esophagus work. I don't even know where the kidneys are. Somewhere in here, I don't know. So if I'm responsible for making them all work, it's not going to happen. So I have to be present. I have to let go of the mind that I believe is my mind and surrender to the one mind. God is all there is. And it is showing up right here in, as, and through each and every one of us. Are we willing to sacrifice the lowercase s self? To let the capital S self, the true self, be the one to step forward into who and what we are. That's what it comes down to. Can I get 3 volunteers real quick? Come up front, sorry. 3 volunteers, real quick, come up front. 3 volunteers, real quick, come up front. It's time for me to meditate, so the 3 volunteers come up real quick. Thank you.
Oh, all right.
Three. So, this is how we go through life, very often. We go through life scared of our own shadow, scared of who and what we truly are. And when I say scared of our own shadow, I'm scared of the shadow selves, that aspect of us that we really want to dismiss and let go of and release. But what if all we had to do was, in releasing that part of our mind that is attached to this, realize that our consciousness and our awareness, if we make a slight adjustment, we realize that we're not scared anymore, that we're actually sacred. That slight adjustment in our consciousness and our awareness, we realize that the I am, the truth of our being, is who and what we are. Thank you very much.
Very cool, thank you.
My pleasure. Ready to meditate? Ready to ground ourselves? Go to that place within where we know that there is only one truth. So in this moment of simply breathing, we surrender this breath to the universal breath that is breathing us. The divine Ruach that is spoken of in the Old Testament, that God breathed Ruach and made Adam a living being. It is that divine Ruach, the spark of life, that is breathing right now this body. It is that divine spark that is present right here, right now, in these words. It is that divine spark that is present in the ears and the hearts that are receiving these words. Because that divine spark, God, love, the I am, is all there is. And so we surrender to this breath. And in surrendering to this breath that we are not attached to, because on some level there is a trust that when I release this breath, there will be another breath to be taken. So I do not worry about, I do not obsess about when or where will my next breath come from. When or where will my next in-breath come from? I simply surrender and allow God to breathe itself as me. And so we breathe. And with the breath, go deeper and deeper to that place that Yeshua spoke of, where the kingdom of heaven is within. Knowing that we experience heaven to the degree that we allow our consciousness and our awareness to accept. And so go to that place where you are beyond your name, your age. You are beyond any physical sensation or feeling of lack or limitation. Because there is a place in our consciousness where the I am walks freely. Where the I am is, as Emma Curtis Hopkins said, there is no sin, sickness, or death, because God cannot die. Love cannot be sick. The I am cannot sin. And so we go to that place where that is the truth. And we breathe. Knowing that this awareness and this truth is not a temporary thing, but is an eternal thing that we can carry with us into our regular, everyday activities, knowing that if we are more than human beings having a spiritual experience, but that we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience that we call human. That if we are spiritual beings, everything we do is God doing it. God washing dishes, God fixing the car, God shopping, God in action, God made flesh, love made flesh, magnificence embodied in and as each and every one. So that everyone we see and everyone who sees us sees the face of God. Everyone that we hear and everyone who hears us hears the loving voice of creation speaking inspiration. And that everyone we touch and everyone who touches us feels the vibration of love, because love is all there is. And so as we get ready to come out of this meditative state, knowing in truth that this meditative state is the truth of who and what we are, and that it must continue forever and ever. And so it is.